Yeah, it's interesting. One of the points that you just made reminded me of one of my favorite pieces of analysis that you did,
Okay.
which was the Maurice Ashley versus Wilson the Hustler in the park.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
I had seen that video of Maurice Ashley, the Grandmaster, playing the Hustler in the park. I think they're in New York City, right? I had seen that prior to you analyzing it. And when I found your analysis, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm not the only person that's seen this, YouTube video." And it was really awesome to get a look at the board as that was happening. But the thing that reminded me of that just now was as soon as Maurice Ashley sits down, and the way he holds, the way he moves his pawn, the way he adjusts the clock, the way he sits there, the calmness that he has when he goes to open the game. The hustler who's playing in the park immediately says, "Oh, you're an expert, right?"
Yeah, because you you exert a certain strength. I mean, when you sit, the stronger the player, the stronger you, let's say, move the pawns, and the stronger you just sit at the board. I mean, it's just something you can tell when someone sits at the board. Is he a good player or not?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that analysis. I mean, you don't need to recall the game, obviously, or the entire match, whatever the proper term is. I'm sorry. You don't have to recall the whole thing, but if you could just describe it maybe to the listeners, because I think it would be an interesting one for people to check out that haven't really looked at any of your videos yet. There's an en passant move in there, and then you have the hustler as well. If you could talk about your analysis of that.
Yeah, as far as I recall, the opening was pretty okay. I mean, Wilson the Hustler did follow basic chess principles. He started developing pieces, but then at some point, I think maybe around even move 5 or 6, you could already see the difference in skill between Maurice and him. And at some point, like you've mentioned, there was even a case where where Wilson the Hustler tried to grab 2 pieces with one knight, and it was the greatest move the chess world has ever seen. But of course, Maurice caught it, and he requested that the additional piece be put back to the board. And of course, when the game continued, there wasn't all that much for poor Wilson to do. But he did try. And then at the end, when, of course, Maurice presented himself as a grandmaster, then Wilson was out of out of his mind. He was like, "Oh no, I played the grandmaster. Oh no, turn off the camera. No, don't." But it was just great.
When Maurice first sat down and Wilson started talking throughout that entire match, I mean, that's something that hustlers do on purpose, right? They just talk constantly through the match to try to distract who they're playing. Is that, or was he just a talkative person?
No, I think I think that's something they enjoy doing, and that it's something that maybe throws off a weaker opponent. But as I've never actually played a hustler myself, we don't really have them here in Croatia. But if I ever visit New York or maybe Washington, where there are known chess hustlers, I'm definitely going to check it out. But I think it's something to throw off weaker opponents and maybe get them to think something is happening that is not. Because in general, the chess hustlers don't have exactly formal chess education. They have
Right.
street chess skills, which is mostly tactics and mostly dirty tricks. Maybe not all of them, but that's how they're portrayed. Like I said, I've never played any of them, but that's how they are usually portrayed. And then, of course, if even a stronger player doesn't have to be a grandmaster, knows some additional principles which don't allow such positions to arise, I don't think that they would have much chance against such a player.